Good afternoon, folks. It's my great pleasure today to introduce our keynote speaker. The committee that put this together really kind of latched on to bringing Ray here early on in the process, and we're just really thrilled to have him here. Ray Archuleta is the rock star of soil health. He told me not to say that, but it's true, so I'm going to say it anyway. And we're really looking forward to hearing what he's got to say, and we'll have him for some of our breakout sessions tomorrow, and he's just a great one to have lunch with and talk things over. So please take advantage of having him here. He's in demand. We may never get him back. So without further ado, here's Ray Archuleta.
I tell you, the reason I say good morning because I just got back from Sacramento and I did the red eye. I slept 3 to 4 hours on the plane with a screaming child in the back. And I said, why did I schedule it this way? And you know, I was hoping maybe I had enough points that I could be on first class. No, not. They put me in the middle between 2 big guys. At least I didn't move too much. It was good. I'm glad to be here. We just did an incredible tour through California. The chief has asked us to go ahead and train soil health all of our NRCS employees. And we want to get it done by at least March. So California is a huge state, and it was exciting to see the response that we had. So what we're going to do is start. And I'm going to introduce myself real quick. My name's Ray Archuleta. You can tell Archuleta is not a common North Carolina name. I don't drink sweet tea. And when I first moved to North Carolina, I could hear that beautiful southern drawl. And they said, "You're not from here, are you?" I said, "No, I'm from Colorado, New Mexico." We have a county in Colorado called Archuleta County. We have been there, our family has been there for 500 years. We've been there for a long, long, long. Such a long time. My dad said, "Son, I want you to work hard and don't marry your cousins." I said, "Yes, sir." I married a good Missouri girl there, John. She keeps me in line, so life's been very good. I'm going to start off with the journey of why the soil health movement has become such an incredible movement. This movement, by the way, well, let me back up a little bit. I'm jumping the gun here. Let me point out my audience. How many of you are conventional farmers right here? Please raise your hand. Thank you for coming. How many no-tillers? Thank you. How many organic farmers? Thank you very much. How many grazers? Excellent. Thank you for coming. How many agency people? Okay. District people? How many are here just for lunch? Good. You did well. Let me tell you, okay, now that I've had to feel my audience a little bit, let me tell you just a little bit about me and how soil health started for me. I started in the agency as a technician. I started in the southern part. I grew up in the Rockies. So me going to college, the college is located in Mexico State in the desert. And I had a hard time adjusting to it. But I started 7 years designing irrigation systems, did that, went to college. Wife took care of the daughters. And as soon as we graduated, guess where they put me for the first time I finished college? They put me in the Woodville, Missouri with 55 inches of rain a year and the humidity. That's the first experience I've had with catfish. Never ate catfish in my life. It's pretty good, right? But it was interesting. As I've gone through the journey, I took there about 5 years I was a water quality specialist there in Missouri for about 2 or 3 years. And then I decided to take a downgrade. Once you're a Westerner, it is really hard to live in an area where there's a lot of people. And it's really tough for us. And we're not used to not being able to see 50 to 100 miles. So that was really rough. So I took a downgrade and got to Idaho. Loved Idaho. I was a district conservationist on the Oregon side. My county was 6 million acres, 300,000 irrigated acres. We had 2 time zones. In the 60s, that one county had 2 field offices. Now, when I left, we only had 3 employees. When the ranchers heard that we were coming to the southern part of the county, I don't know how they knew that they would call us at the hotel and they found out that we would go there. It's like I think we had secret code. But it was great working with ranchers and farmers. But here's where the journey started for me, ladies and gentlemen. I own a small farm. I raised my daughters with a small farm. We raised hay and boar goats. So I crossed the Snake River every morning, ran the mail to your office, and I farmed on the side. What's interesting was, when you have daughters and you start calling the goats like Sue and all those names, you make no money. And hay, you make no money. But the experience was amazing. But here's where I started realizing. Now think about this, it's already 20 years into my career, and I start realizing something is severely wrong with modern agriculture, ladies and gentlemen. Very wrong. And this is the story that happened to me, and I always share this story because this is what's given me the emotional drive and the passion to share the story with soil health. It's that my farmer, very close personal friend, Mormon, I was the only non-Mormon in that road. They still love me anyway. But if you know anything about the Mormon people, very frugal, very family, beautiful group of people. My farmer friend farmed 600 acres around prime agricultural land. This is an hour north of Boise. I mean, we have incredibly good soil, incredibly cheap water, because we have 4 or 5 rivers. You've been there, right, John? Beautiful. I love that area. I said, you know what, wife? I am happy here. It reminds me very much of New Mexico. We're going to stay here. But at that moment, there was a situation that happened with that poor gentleman, my farmer friend. Keep in mind, he owned most of the equipment, owned most of the land, owned his house, and could not bring his son into the operation because of the cost of inputs were killing him. He grew hay, lettuce, onions, various specialty crops. Grew this, and he wanted to bring his son into the operation and push the farm to his son, be able to have his son inherit. His son ended up working for NRCS. And he did not want to work for NRCS. He wanted to farm. And I said, what is going on? Why is that man that works 12 to 18, 19-hour days during the summer, he could not keep the farm? How many acres do we need to make a living? It's ridiculous. Something's wrong. But here's where I got worse. I went to graduate school for soil science, and I could not help him solve the problem on the farm to lower the inputs. I don't know if you guys know anything about arid soils. It is very hard to bring arid soils pH down. It's got a lot of calciums, a lot of cations. It's hard to bring arid soils down in pH. There were certain spots in his fields, ladies and gentlemen, that had a pH of 4 or 5. Because the water was so pure, but he was using so much chemical fertilizer that they were leaking the calciums below the root zone and creating these very acidic spots. But it wasn't just that. There's where I started realizing something is absolutely wrong. I could not help him. And I took that very personally. It wasn't until I came to the East National Technology Service Center, I found out that NRCS had a soil quality team. I'm sitting in the back, I can remember my first day, Ray, you got selected. Maybe they just wanted to get rid of me and I don't know. I got selected. Got to be part of this team. They said, okay, Ray, you're going to teach soil quality. And I said, fine. I'm sitting in the back when I first heard the class. And I was sitting there, I could see my conservation life flash by me. And I said to myself, oh my goodness, I gave bad advice. I missed the mark. I have been a product of reductionist science. What is reductionist science? It's what our universities are doing all over the world, especially in our country. We teach in little silos, in little departments, and we focus on the minutia. We focus on the little things. We focus on the parts, but we forget that the parts are part of the whole. It's called holistic science. It's called ecology, soil ecology. See, ladies and gentlemen, I walked out of the way of the university that when I went out in the field, I did not know what the real gold was. See, when I left college, the gold that was taught to me, yield, production, yield, production. See, the real thing should have been holistic science, where it says, you need to farm in nature's image. Not control and command, not to force, not to till to death, not to fumigate to death, and use the insecticides to death. To understand it, to nurture it, to collaborate with it, to farm in nature's image. Soil health, ladies and gentlemen, is biomimicry and farming in nature's image. How did we come to this point? Farmers and ranchers, ladies and gentlemen, out of desperation. The cost of inputs is brutal. This movement is created, and I think it was organic. It started with farmers and ranchers. This is how this started. And it was very key that some of our RSS employees were a part of that whole journey. Now, I'm going to ask every one of you a couple of questions. Number one question. How many of you in your universities told you your goal when you leave this university is to help your producers farm in nature's image, to collaborate, to synergize, to understand what complementaries? Please raise your hand. Very few, less than 0.001%. Farmers, ranchers, raisers. When mom and dad told you that you were going to inherit the farm, we're going to pass the farm to you, how many of your parents said, there's the template. Nature is the template, emulate it. Please raise your hand. Thank you. 0.001%. We have passed the ignorance from one generation to a generation, and we forgot the template, the natural ecosystem. What we have, ladies and gentlemen, we have a society that is completely disconnected from the land. Not only the urbanites, but farmers and ranchers themselves. And they look at me and say, "No, Ray, that's a pretty heavy statement saying that you're disconnected from the land. What do you mean by that?" If you do not understand how the soil ecosystem works, and you do not understand how the system functions, you are disconnected. It is a love that is immature. A love for the land that will make you go broke. I've been married 25 years. You all, those who have been married, you date your wife, nice, it's emotional love. Puppy love, it's great. At 25 years with an awesome wife, you go into a love, understanding, and wisdom. We're going to talk today, ladies and gentlemen, about that type of love. A love for the land that is through understanding and wisdom. That's what we're talking about. And you know what's exciting about this? Our farmers are making a great income. They are able to keep the farm. And they're excited about farming again. I have young people coming back to the farm. I have never seen so much excitement for agriculture. I now have hope, ladies and gentlemen. And this is how we're going to spread this fantastic movement. We're going to start with this basic demonstration. This is how I connect our people back to the land. Now, we have some people. Farmers, raise your hand, please, again. Good. I'm going to choose you too. Okay, come up here. Nice thing about it, guys, you don't even have to talk. You don't want to be out here talking about it. Okay. Now, we're going to try to protect. You guys go? Yeah, we'll get it. I gave him my password, my secret code. It's a government phone. You have to come up with all kinds of codes and everything. I scan fingerprints. And then we don't want the Chinese to steal a government phone. I'm telling you, the Chinese can steal all my files of soil health. They need it. Okay, now, go ahead. We're going to send it here first, okay? Can you do a little bit here, Dan? Just a little bit. Now, if you guys cannot see, if you guys want to come closer, come over here. I tell my farmers, if you're a gardener, if you farm 1,000 acres, if you farm 10,000 acres, I don't ever want you to forget this. In fact, when you get ready to pull out a piece of tillage equipment for your rototiller, after seeing this, I hope you break out into a rash. As I do, I tell you, I can't handle it anymore. And I'm going to tell you, I already went through the 12 steps. I am recovering tillage alcoholic. I've already gone through the steps, so ready? Okay, Anthony and Ron. Thank you, Ron. Okay, I have two soils here. I'm going to start off with my North Carolina soils. This on my left hand, okay, I'll put it on my right hand here. This is a 40-year zero-till North Carolina Cecil Sandy Clay loam. 85-year-old farmer. He's been using multi-species cover crops for 30 years. He's used his manure. He has completely eliminated inorganic nitrogen in his operation. He no longer purchases inorganic phosphorus for his operation. He has gone down from 5 herbicides down to 1 herbicide, ladies and gentlemen. We recently got a crimper roller. He could be organic no-till. He'd be toast. And I said, Ray, his name's Ray Steyer. Can you imagine our discussion? Ray, what do you think about that? Ray, well, I don't know, Ray. That's the kind of talk we have from the farm. And I said, Ray, you could pay a lot of money. He said, Ray, I'm 85 years old. I don't even buy green bananas anymore. I said, okay, your soil's awesome, okay. His organic matter, ladies and gentlemen, is 4.6%. The typical organic matter in North Carolina Piedmont soils is 1% to 0.5%, no more than 1.5%. The forest is 3%. When Europeans entered, the organic matter was 3%. His organic matter was measured a month ago, is 4.6%. How do you do that? We're going to talk about that. The neighbor, he does vegetable farming. Heavy till, heavy disturbance. Low disturbance, heavy disturbance. Heavy physical disturbance. His organic matter is 0.5%. Okay? Now, Anthony, you're going to be the no-till. You're going to be the conventional, okay? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to confess to you, I found a clod in another clod. I go over the country and I collect clods. I'm confessing my deep problems. My wife tells me, honey, you got clods all over the garage. Okay, now, I know this is from Ohio soil, okay? I'm pretty sure it's a no-till, but don't hold me to it. We'll drop it in a little while, okay? Because what happens when you start mixing clods, well, I'm not going to tell you something I don't know, okay? But I can tell you how we're going to find out real quick. And I'll show you how this test works. I want you to do this on your own place, okay? It's so simple to do. The only thing that can happen to you is your feelings may get hurt. Okay? This is the way the test works. This is called, scientifically, the scientists call this the slate test. I prefer calling it the aggregate stability. It's also known as the aggregate stability test. What you do is you get a couple of clods, you air dry them, make sure all the moisture's out. You can also put it in the microwave. Suck all the moisture. I've done it. The only problem is your wife gets very upset when it smells like dead organisms. Okay? But when you get desperate, you're desperate. Okay, so now, we're going to drop these two gentlemen are going to drop these clods in. And this is what's going to happen. The water's going to be set, there's going to be a water gradient from high concentration to low concentration, and you're going to see these internal pressures building up as the water rushes in to fill the pore spaces. What we want to see is which soil does not fall apart. See, if it doesn't fall apart, that means the pores are intact. If the pores are intact, we got porosity. We got porosity, we got infiltration. So please don't misunderstand the test. Most people, some farmers say, well, I want my soil to fall apart. No, you don't. Not doing this test now. Okay? Now, get ready. Pour them in, put them in. Get it, squeeze it in. Go. Now, look what's happening. And we'll go ahead and stick our Ohio salt. We'll find out if it's conventional or not. Yep. Look at the conventional. They're both the same soil. Cecil, sandy, clay, loam. I never say the name of this farmer. Ever. If he found out what I was doing, he'd never let me back on his farm. I told him it's for science experiments. And it's true. It's true. He doesn't realize how much conservation he's promoting. Here's the thing. The land is not going to cover crops, and I'm being worried now. I might not have a good spot for restored soils. Okay, so here's what, this is Dave Brand's soil. 40 years no-till, 30-some years no-till, Ray Steyer's 40-year no-till. Look at the difference, ladies and gentlemen. What is going on? We can no longer afford this. The difference here is has the biotic glues intact. The soil food web is intact. This soil is a healthy, functioning soil. This soil is no longer addicted to herbicides and fertilizers. I got chided for using that word addiction. If you look up the dictionary word for addiction, it means you cannot function without a substance. These soils cannot function without chemical fertilizer. They would collapse in yield. This soil does not use chemical fertilizer. It uses manures and covers. And let me give you a perspective, ladies and gentlemen. He only has enough manure for half the farm. So that means during the season, part of the farm is not going to get any manure. So how is it functioning? Through diversity. It's not just the manure. Okay? So, why is this one holding together, Anthony? And why is this one falling apart? Fungal, like, boy, he's been reading good books. So let's get it right quick. Folks, the glue makers are the earthworms, the fungus, the bacteria. Every time fungus go out there and look for water and nutrients and zinc, they're exuding these polysaccharides called glomalin, glomalin, where you're from, discovered by Dr. Sarah Wright. They're pasting the soil. Every time you see those little arthropods on the top, you're going to crush it. Well, you see all that, and they're eating the residue called the detritus here. They leak, they paste the soil, they build these organo-mineral complexes. They're biotic glues. And we also have the calciums, the irons, and the aluminums. But it's biological. Now, Ron, what happened to the glues? What happened to the organic matter? How did they go? Come on, audience. Oh, you got name tags. You got to come here just to eat. No, I'm going to call in you. Huh? What's going on? What happened to the glues? What does the tillage do to my soil habitat, to my soil ecosystem? What is tillage doing?
Destroying.
Did you hear what Mark said? We look up this bacteria called, soil ecologists call them our strategists, opportunists. I call teenagers opportunists. When there's food, they're there. I call them my little piranhas. You look them up through tillage. The theory is when you mechanically break up the soil, you expose the organic matter and the glues and an infusion of oxygen, and it triggers the R strategists or the coproforic bacteria. And they start consuming the glues and the organic matter that you worked so hard. They multiply very rapidly. And then when they die, after they give off CO2 and there goes Grandpa's farm, they die, nitrogen is released in the nitrate form. And guess what else happens, ladies and gentlemen? You brought weed seeds to the top of the surface. You stimulated secondary succession with one disking. You set yourself back. I call tillage the cancer of the land, of the soil. You took a normal metabolic process and triggered it, and it started consuming itself. It's like cancer does. Certain gene kicks in, and it multiplies and multiplies, and it starts taking away the energy, and it spreads until it consumes the body. I couldn't explain anything more. Does the parallel is almost perfect? No. But I can't explain anything else that consumes the body. This thing will consume and consume and consume. Tillage is not our friend. It is a tool that you have to use it with extreme caution, organic farmers and my conventional brothers and sisters. To me, it's not about no-till. It's not about conventional. It's not about organic. It's about farming in nature's image. We're taking it to the level that it should have been taken to the beginning. Now I know the goal. When you put a forest soil here, will it break up or will it be clear? It'll be clear. If it's a prairie soil, will it break up or will it be clear?
Clear.
It'll be clear. Nature does not till. It does not invert itself, ladies and gentlemen. It uses earthworms. It uses living roots. It uses the arthropods. It uses biology. Do you see why I get so excited about covers? Because the covers are my tillage equipment. And you know what I like about using them? They don't complain. I don't have to put diesel in them. I don't have to pay them overtime. That's what the soil wants. Okay? Ready? Let's go to the next demo. Oh, you know what I love about these two farmers? They don't buy crop insurance.
They don't buy crop insurance.
They don't buy crop insurance. Their crop insurance, Dave Brand farms 1,200 acres. When the drought last year in 2012, he only got 8 inches. That corn produced 142 bushels. The neighbor right across, same soil, 60 bushel. He puts all that money in his account. He runs off that. This is resilience. It can tolerate severe drought and can tolerate a flood. You know what I call this, ladies and gentlemen? Freedom. Freedom from the inputs. A buffer from the high. I tell you, I'm having farmers now under severe stress, ladies and gentlemen. I've had farmers say, "Ray, I don't even want to farm anymore because I can't handle the extremes of the climate and putting such emotional stress to our farmers." But when you have a healthy soil, you put all the chips on your side. That's why I'm so excited about this. If I would have known this, you don't think I would have pushed my farmer in Idaho to do this? I would have bugged him until I would go him crazy. Okay, let's go. Let's show another demonstration. This is food coloring. It is not anything, it's just food coloring so you guys can see it. You guys see it? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make it rain. You were the no-till, right? Just keep it consistent. Okay, so what I did is I scooped the soil in, I crushed it. That's the first soil disturbance that soil has had in 40 years. The only erosion race tires have is not the T factor, it's called the Ray factor. I take a lot of soil from his farm. And I spread it all over the country. Now, I would do soils here, but I ran out of time, and Lori and I could barely get this thing going, but I would love to get soils here. You know why I like to collect soils here, and then my North Carolina soils? Because some of you in your mind are going, man, it sucks to live in North Carolina. It happens everywhere. I've done this in Alaska, Puerto Rico, same thing happens. This test works on 95 to 98% of all the soils all over the world. It will not work on certain soils because of the mineralogy. So keep that in mind, okay? Let's get ready to pour, and I want to make sure that everything is leveled off, okay? I made it the same. I got holes in the bottom, and I want you to point right here to pull it. We're going to see which one filtrates through first, because I want the water in my soil. I don't want you to run off, right, Tom? Ready, get set, pour at the same time. Can you imagine standing in front of a large group? You're always hoping it's going to work. And you know what? I've never been disappointed. Look at the no-till. See, I grew up thinking, if I make the soil fluffy, I would increase the airspace and increase infiltration. How many thought of that way? Everybody should raise their hand. Come on, you did too. Glory, you're the only one. Yeah. Look in here. So what happened with the fertilizer and herbicide of this one? Oh, by the way, these two farms are butt up against the drinking source for Reedsville. Where's the fertilizer going to go on that one? And the herbicide? It's going to go right off into the river. And oh, by the way, that ground's always there. Raised ground is covered 24/7. As soon as he gets that silage up, cover. The covers are just as critical as the crop, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, now, I've got one more demonstration. See here? Isn't that amazing? See, you wouldn't believe it. I was telling the audience on my table, I had did this in front of 300 or 400 people, a bunch of farmers. And I chose somebody randomly. And one of them was a conventional farmer. And after that, I said, oh, so the meeting went well, and had a cold beer. That farmer comes back, because he was like, one of you guys I chose. And he was disturbed, like, oh no, did I offend you? He goes, no, Ray, you don't understand. I'm a conventional farmer. That bothered me. I said, I understand. You want to have a cold beer and we'll talk about it, we'll cry on each other's shoulders? He goes, no, I wish I had more time, but he says, but it really resonated. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what's changing our country? These demonstrations. I had one farmer in the back in Indiana when we did this workshop, farmed 10,000 acres. He converted his whole farm to no-till and cover crops. One talk. Farmers are like all of us. We don't want to be talked at, we don't want to be talked down at, we want to be taught. Let's go here. One more talk, one more thing. We're going to make it rain. Because you know, I'm going to show you some pictures. It's kind of devastating. It breaks my heart. Because as I'm going all over the West, we're having Dust Bowl situations. And I want to say, well, you know, Ron, why are the particles of dust flying all over the country? Why do our rivers and lakes look like chocolate? Let's make it rain. These two guys are holding two bottles. And they got the two clods. You're the conventional no-till. Okay, you're the no-till. And you hold it and squirt at the same time. Yep. Hold it out. Am I messing things up? You get them? You just got hold of it. I'll hold it for you. Okay, I'll hold it for you. Okay? What you're going to do is we're going to spray on top of that clod. Both of us at the same time. Let's see what happens when that rain comes down. Does rain come down slowly? Not all the time, does it? Sometimes it'll come down 10, 15, 20 miles an hour. And we want to see what happens when we make it rain. Now, of course, Ron and Anthony are like a 100-year storm. But we're going to treat them the same. They've got the same number of holes, we're going to squeeze. I had one lady, boy, she was like a 2,000 year storm. Squeeze that thing. Whoa. I'm going to get her back. Okay, good. Excellent. Now let's look at these two clods. More importantly, let's look at the color of the water. This one's going to clear up. This one will have less. This one will have more. But what happens, ladies and gentlemen, and for this one, I don't know, usually my no-till does even better. This one's usually absolutely clear. Clear, clear, clear. For some reason, that particular cloud wasn't. But this one, what's happening, ladies and gentlemen, once the glues are done, the sand particles, the clays, can be sent into suspension and be thrown into the air. Well, the way we keep it there is the biotic glues. And here's the kicker. These biotic glues only last 27 days in a typical agro ecosystem. So how do we build glues? Anybody have, Mark, how do we build glues? Go ahead and switch that over. Go ahead and switch that over. Give these guys a hand, would you? How do we build glues? Okay, you gotta feed the bugs, right? Because really, it's the bugs are the glue makers. The plants and the bugs together are the glue makers. So they said to me, well, Ray, well, now think about it. We're having millions of acres glowing, and what do we do? So some people, what we're doing is grinding up railroad ties and putting it on some of the acreage. Really? Millions of acres? It's too late. Game over. It's going to be in suspension. So what did they do in the 30s? Do you remember? Remember, Joe, what they did in the 30s to stop the wind blowing? The dust and the soil? They did more tillage. They created these ridges so they could try and slow it down. Another Band-Aid. No more Band-Aids, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tell you, I confess to you, I was the biggest Band-Aid putter out there. I spent 20 years of my career putting Band-Aids. We can no longer, as a nation, afford to put Band-Aids anymore. It's about healing the land. This is farming for the 21st century. There's Ray Stiers. He says, nobody knows him in town, but when he walks outside of town, everybody knows him. Because you're in your soils, Ray. 85 years old. Dave Brand. This man, this year, he had wonderful yields. He said he had one particular field, 325 bushels with 60 units of N. His average yield of corn, 265. What is the price of corn today? What does it say? Speak it with confidence.
375.
375. What was it last year?
6.
It went up to 8, didn't it? 7, right?
Yep.
This man here can grow corn for $1.10. Do you think $3.80 is going to bother him? How does he do it? How does Gabe, this man is a beacon. He's probably one of the better ranch farmers I know in the country. This is where I learned a lot of stuff from one of my mentors. Here's Brandon Rock from Colorado. He grows potatoes at 7,600 feet. He no longer uses chemical fertilizer. None of the sides. He uses no fungicide, no nematicides, none of the sides, no herbicides to grow potatoes. How does he do it? Compost, fish oils, ozonation, multi-species cover crops. Gabe Brown, how does he grow corn at $1.10 a bushel? He integrates, he runs his cow like buffalo, moves them up very tightly, multi-species cover crops. He does not use chemical fertilizer on 6,000 acres. 4,000 acres is range, 2,000 cropping, no chemical fertilizer. No more inorganic N, no more inorganic nitrogen. He has one of the higher soil health readings that we have been using for the ARS, Dr. Haney's tests. Gail Fuller, oh, by the way, North Dakota only gets 16 inches of rain. How many have been to North Dakota, by the way? It's cold, isn't it? And there's no trees to protect you. It gets so cold, the snot freezes to your nose. He said, you know why I don't get tourists? They winter kill. And Dave loves it that way. Gil Fuller, a clone of this gentleman, biggest advocate of soil health. When these three gentlemen called me to go do a soil health workshop, I did not say no to them. I said, yes, sir, I will be there. Jonathan Cobb, you see that young man? He's a newbie. He came and sat in one of our workshops, John. And you know what happened? He was going to leave the farm. He saw no future in his father's 3,000-acre farm. Because he saw the soil health workshop, he now believes this is his calling. He is an island of green surrounded with an ocean of brown tillage. People are saying, Jonathan, what are you doing? What are you doing with those covers? Now he's selling more cover crop seed. He's selling cover crop seed. In fact, he told me about a month ago, he says, Ray, I am making more money than my dad paid me working for him on the farm by selling cover crop seed. I tell farmers, sell cover crop seed. How about our researchers? Because I'm telling you, we get a lot of flack about soil health from academia. Because, I don't know, they didn't think about it, whatever, we all missed the mark. This is based on ecology, agroecology. Science is just like ours, soil science. Dr. Beck, there he is. That man not only is a researcher, but he farms in South Dakota. He has to run the experimental farm. It's bought by the university, and it has to pay itself off. It has to support itself. Why do you think the farmers respect him so much? He's the one who said, no-till will not work without diversity. Say it again. No-till will not work without diversity. He's been saying it for 10 to 12, 14 years. Dr. McCaney, we became very close friends recently, John. ARS, you heard me speak at one of those meetings. He did not like no-till. He wanted nothing to no-till. It's chemical farming, he told me. After he heard my talk and the no-till that we talk about, he turned the experimentation. It's half now no-till with covers and conventional with covers. And I said, he's 52 years old, and that is his daughter. I said, Rick, how did you manage it? Lovely wife, 35 years old. I said, Rick, how'd you pull that off? Cover crops. I have farmers saying, man, sign me up. Dr. True Claus, I said, man, Rick, you got the light. I don't think you can do that. Dr. Aggregate Kalahari, John, this is a guy I went to the National No-Till Conference. This man started the multi-species cover crops from Brazil. He spread the mixes to us. It started this way. So you guys know how it started. Gabe Brown, the district conservationist, went to go to the no-till plains to hear him. When I met Dr. Adamir Kalahari, I gave him a big hug. I said, thank you for saving our agriculture, for giving us hope, for changing our no-till, for reminding us we can't do this without biology. Dr. Chris Nichols, brilliant soil microbiologist, and of course Dr. Ray Ward, huge lab soil chemist. Here he is, 77 years old, and he has the humility to go in front of a lot of people and say, you know what, I didn't have it right. I forgot about the biology. That takes a lot. That's why the people in Nebraska respect him. And his people that run his employees think of him as a dad. And of course, we have Paul Yaza, an engineer. He knows a lot about soil biology and he farms. See, ladies and gentlemen, if we can teach an engineer to do soil biology, we can teach everybody. Actually, engineers pick it up quicker because they don't have all these paradigms we learn in agronomy school. Now, these are the principles that I want us, these principles, I don't care where you go on the planet, these ecological principles, I can drop you off in Guatemala. I was a peace volunteer in Guatemala. Costa Rica, Central Africa. You can start fixing the problem right off the top of the bat. It's simple. The first one is understand your context. Context, 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 ladies and gentlemen. You need to understand the social context of that area. You need to understand the ecological context. Ecological context, I mean by this. That farm wants to be treated like a prairie in the forest. That soil's never wanted to be stopped. They always wanted to treat it that way. Low disturbance, high diversity. Context. Nature doesn't care about your context. She sets the rules. We got to care about the context. You need to mimic it, to emulate it. And then the next one, also the context, is, ladies and gentlemen, when I walk in an operation, somebody asks me to come, I'm going to assume this right off the top of the bat. I'm going to assume your farm is degraded until I'm proven otherwise. All I have to do is have a conversation with you, and bring my shovel, and I know where you're at. 30 minutes, and I know where you're at. And just by looking at your soil. Context, context, context. And then our global context, ladies and gentlemen, it is no longer about the United States. It is no longer about Michigan. You need to understand that globally, China and India are consuming huge amounts of resources. They want to live like Americans. In fact, 5 years ago, they had a 60-mile pileup, and they were stuck in their car for 11 days. In the next 10 years, they will surpass us in buying cars. Where is all the petroleum going to come from? Oh, I get it. We can fool science. The principle of science is you cannot have infinite growth with finite resources. This is why soil health is becoming so important to me. Now, the next one. Protect the soil habitat. You've got to treat the soil like a habitat. If you do not treat it like a habitat, I cannot help you. If you think of it as a growing medium, I cannot help you. It is a life. How many of us would run our pets over with a disc? We wouldn't do that, would we? Do you know Dr. Beck? If you dig into his soil, you're going to get chewed up. I have some farmers in Indiana that are growing 200 bushel corn on gumbo clay. Gumbo clay. You can't grow gumbo. You can't grow corn, 200 bushel corn in gumbo clay. I've heard that one before. But he will not allow his tractor drivers to take the lunchbox on the tractor. Too much weight. And we think it's, are you insane? Yeah. But that fastidious about your soils, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to limit biological disturbance, chemical disturbance, herbicides, fungicides, insecticides, and then you guys in the back trying to say, my goodness, is this guy organic? No. Did you ever hear us say no fertilizers, no chemicals, and no pesticides? We say that. I say use them with wisdom. Be cautious with the tools. Cut your fingers off. Limit physical disturbance. You have to be careful what you do with your tools. Now the third one. This is the part we forgot when we promoted no-till. This is why no-till failed in many parts of the country. We forgot the food. The cover crops are not just cover crops. They are energy transformers, biological primers. They prime the soil biology. They transform solar energy into chemical energy, and they will leak 40 to 60% of their exudate to feed the biology, ladies and gentlemen. Cover crops are not optional once you understand soil functioning. It's like paying a utility bill. Suck it up. You want to farm, you want to enjoy the benefits, pay the utility. We like to turn our computers on. We love the benefits of it. Feed your soil. This is why it's failed in many places. We forgot the most important. This is why no-till has such a bad name, ladies and gentlemen. You had yield drags. We eliminate yield drags now because of the covers. We use less herbicide because of the covers. We're feeding the system, we're synergizing, we're not starving it to death. When you just do no-till, all you did is slow down the decomposition process and increased water infiltration. It's not enough. That's why corn and soybean is not sustainable for the 21st century. Can't be. Talk about that. And this is why. I think I'm probably one of the very few government employees that read this report. I don't understand why we don't make it mandatory reading. The Department of Energy paid Dr. Robin Hirsch a special group to investigate our energy situation for the future. It was published, and it was actually spoken at and presented it on December 5th to the House Committee. And I just took a couple of sentences out. It says, the era of plentiful low-cost petroleum is approaching an end. Low cost. Not saying we're running completely out of oil. It says it's going to get more expensive. Because we got China and India. They are putting, that's why in 2008 we paid $1.80. What did we pay today for fuel? I paid $3.60 last week. How many of you actually think that the cost of petroleum is going to go down? Please raise your hand. Please raise your hand and tell me how many of you think commodity prices will go down. That's a no-brainer. He just did. So here's what I tell my producers. Producers, if you focus on this side of the equation, inputs, make your soil healthy, that you reduce the inputs, you'll have freedom. But if you focus on yield, the false god, you will always be enslaved by that concept. You already know how to grow. We can reduce the inputs and still have high yields. That's what this soil health is about. This is what it's driven by, ladies and gentlemen. And this is the emblem of modern agriculture. You like that one? We are blowing it on the other end. Because we can. That's what we understood. Gabe Brown, the greatest roadblock in solving the problem is the human mind. Context again. I wake up in the morning, I already know that I'm 99.9% of my problem. Once I got that straight, I was good. And my wife also reminded me of my context. Okay, so this is what our soils, what we want in our soils. Soil health, ladies and gentlemen, it's simple, it's simplicity, farming nature's image, it's vital mimicry, so I can make the soil healthy and functioning. What do farmers want? The first two, mostly, nutrient cycling and infiltration. And what do our water quality specialists want? Filtering and buffering. This is what I see when I travel the whole country, ladies and gentlemen. This is why it breaks my heart. This is a modern country. I see this all over the planet. Not just in our country. The soil is naked, hungry, thirsty, and running a fever. It's hungry because it's not being fed. It's thirsty because the water is running off. See, ladies and gentlemen, our soils are subaquatic ecosystems. What does that mean? Well, let's pick on somebody. You see, what is that? When I say our soils are subaquatic, what do I mean by that? I didn't know you did it about 2 years ago. I was sitting in the back of my house, I was in my bedroom, and I was reading this really geeky book on soils. And I'm screaming out, I'm saying, wife, the soil is subaquatic. She goes, what's wrong with you? It was a Eureka Moment. Ladies and gentlemen, soils, nematodes, bacteria, and protozoa swim in water. No water, no nutrient cycling. They cannot function without water. The temperatures on this soil are up to 150 degrees, ladies and gentlemen. 150 degrees. See, we have been blaming the end of the CO2 being emitted from factories and from our cars. Haven't we heard that, right? Is it possible, ladies and gentlemen, because we have so much bare ground that we changed the microclimate and affected the macroclimate? Because our soils are connected. One soils and the plant and the climate are connected. Ecologists understand that, don't they, Laurie? Everything is one. Quantum physicists, everything is one. Even theologians say everything is one. You cannot separate it. So one of the ranchers told me, he says, when he flies over these bare soils, his little Cessna shakes because the updraft, hot air going up. And when he goes over vegetation, it's smooth. Have we ever thought of that? Just my own theory. Now here is a beautiful picture I took with my own personal cell phone, Elaine. And I said this in front of headquarters, John. I can be bold when I do the demos. Besides, where are they going to send me? I get that mad. Michigan? Send rain where it's cold. I told the EPA, we do not have a runoff problem, ladies and gentlemen. We have an infiltration problem. Our lakes and rivers are filled with conservation plans and nutrient management plans. But they're not crystal clear with understanding. I have wrote a lot of plans. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, my plans are only worth compost. Because I forgot the most important thing. We didn't do this journey of learning together. He played with me to write a plan that wrapped a snake around my neck called money. I want to work with others, and they want to work with us. And when they see these demonstrations, there's not enough of us to promote conservation. This is what I saw, 2012. How about this, ladies and gentlemen? Eastern Colorado. We were there, we took a picture. That is a Dust Bowl situation happening in our country. 75 years of conservation, and we're still close to the same circle. Have we made some gainways? Yes, but not enough. Because if we really had made some gainways, this wouldn't be happening. Look at that. Oh, look at this. That's CRP. Conservation Reserve Program that we paid. Why does it look like that? Because, see, we forgot soil ecology. See, if you do not let the grazing animal graze the grass, it will shift ecologically. The grass needs the cow. They need to be grazed. Grasses are energy pathway. They're quick energy pathway. That means they have to cycle nutrients quickly. You have to have manure. They want urine. They want carbon. They want food. But when you exclude them out, they change secondary. They go to secondary succession. Especially in the brittle West, they will start oxidizing. But we took the cows out because we could not stand the fact that we were paying somebody to put money, food money, but at the same time, we could let the cows out. Because we were doing reductionist science. We have a dysfunctional water cycle, ladies and gentlemen, on the planet. So the carbon cycle is dysfunctional, the water cycle is dysfunctional. This is where we're at. And this is how we can fix it. We need to go all the way down to the microscopic level, but don't forget the macroscopic view, the holistic view. We think of microbes not important, but they create all these processes for our social function. This is the way mammalian looks like. That is a hyphae, and it looks under a special microscope under fluorescent light. Ladies and gentlemen, it's actually easier to teach kids ecology than adults. You know why? I never forgot this when the person who wrote the One Star Revolution, and I'm going to butcher his name. I know somebody's going to laugh at him after me, but it's okay. His name is Masanu Fukuoka. That's as close as I can get. He said, it's easier to teach children. Because these children, when they see this majestic elephant, they go, whoa, it is beautiful. And then when you show them this microbe, you show them a little arthropod, they go, whoa. Adults do this. Elephant, yeah, whoa. They look at the arthropod and go, The moment you do that, you've already lost the point. Every one of those critters serve purpose, and they are beautiful, and they serve function, and they all work in the system. Folks, when I left college, they told me weeds were the bane of farming. They are the worst things you can have. I now have a different view of weeds. Weeds are nature's healers and scabs. They are nature's indicator species. Do you know that certain weeds have 24% protein in them? Did you know that as soon as you have weeds come up, they go down deeply into the soil profile and bring up trace minerals and start refertilizing the soil again? They are nature's healers. So when I go walk in an operation, if I see grass, too much weeds in your pasture, you're overgrazing. If you're having a lot of problems using a lot of insecticide, you're killing too much. And you're not using enough covers. You want to know the secret to the best way to get rid of weeds? Ready? This is the time I say I take PayPal. No, I'm just kidding. The best way to get rid of weeds, ladies and gentlemen, is to integrate animals and cover the soil with living covers. Fill the niche. If you do not fill the niche, nature will fill the niche for you. Let me show you this really cool little video. And I'm sure we have, how much time do I have, by the way?
Not much.
I know, bummer, huh?
Yeah.
But guess what?
Keep going.
I'm going to have breakout sessions. Okay, we're just getting the pump frame, okay? I think we need these everywhere. And now that we've been promoting soil health, these tools are going all over the country.
To fully appreciate the potential runoff and erosion from a conventionally tilled field like this, you really need to be out here during the most intense thunderstorm of the year. Since most people aren't willing to do that, here in Virginia, we use a rainfall simulator to help our farmers tell the story of what happens when it rains really hard.
How many, do we have these over here in Michigan?
On the left, we start with a tray of dry, loose soil taken from a clean-tilled field. On the right, we start with a slice of intact surface soil from a long-term no-till field. This soil is not only protected with a mulch of cover crop residue, it also has a stable, porous sponge structure.
You know, years ago, as a kid, I remember, you get these big, heavy thunderstorms in the summer, and it would just wash the field, and you'd end up with mud down the road. And I'm talking about mud that you'd go over there with a skid loader and scoop out of the way so the cars could go down the road. What I'm seeing now is I'm seeing these heavy rainfalls, and I'm barely seeing a trickle coming out of the field.
After we simulate an extremely intense thunderstorm for 5 minutes, the differences are obvious. Most of the water we apply to this soil has run off into this jar, carrying away with it a thin but very significant layer of topsoil. We just applied 1.5 inches of very intense rainfall to this bare, tilled soil.
This is the state agronomist in Virginia, by the way. Look at that.
Obviously, we harvested very little for future plant use. Meanwhile, this no-till soil has absorbed virtually every drop of water we applied. What would have ran off is clear. The bottom line is pretty simple. If you want to harvest more rain like these no-till farmers are doing, keep your soil covered on top and make it a sponge underneath.
Now, watch this one. I think this is very critical. I know I'm going to take some of my time up, and I'm going to skip here. But our pasture system. Let's look at our pasture
To
system.
realize the difference in rainfall.
Now, this is JP Daniels.
Continuously raised pasture versus rotation raised pasture. To really see the difference, you actually have to be out there during the heaviest thunderstorm of the year.
uses a rainfall simulator to demonstrate the effects of infiltration versus runoff on pasture surfaces. These pasture samples were collected from actual pastures just down the road from each other. One represents continuous overstock and overgrazed pastures. The other represents a rotational grazed and rested pasture. All rainfall runoff is funneled into a collection jug on the front of the demonstration table. This allows us to visually compare both the volume and clarity of the runoff.
The most important nutrient we have to manage is water. With rotational grazing, particularly during the summer, we have more water infiltration because we have a better cover on the ground. Essentially, the cover intercepts the water particle and allows it to enter into the ground versus running off.
I want you to notice the judge here. So turn it off.
By the end of the demonstration,
Look
it's
how much
amazing
water
to see
ran
how
off
much
the grass.
runoff
It's covered.
This overgrazed pasture versus the well-rested rotational grazed pasture.
Now these pans have holes in just the water that was captured.
Here you can see how much more water actually soaks in and absorbed under the rotational grazed well-rested pasture and how much more water actually runs off.
Okay, a quiz for those who were asleep. Okay, young man, why? If I grab 2 clods of those 2 soils and I drop them in the water, would the overgrazed one fall apart or hold together?
Fall apart.
Fall apart? Nope, it'll hold together. For the most part, it'll hold together. So why is it running off? He told you, if you listen really carefully, he told you the answer part of it. Some people say compaction. I'm not going to argue that. Some say less roots. I'm not going to argue that. But I think here's the key thing, folks. The height of the canopy is so critical to slow that 15 to 20 mile an hour raindrop. All those other factors, but you've got to slow the water down. I am convinced the way we teach grazing is wrong. It is too short. We now have guys that are doing ultra high stock grazing or grazing grasses this high, and we're running the cows like buffalo. And we're having excellent performance. Because we got to understand this, folks. These ecosystem processes are happening all the time. We interface with them. Nature works in a non-obvious way. Sometimes we can't observe it, and it works paradoxically. In other words, who would have thought that we interface with these ecosystem processes right at the surface level? I used to mow my lawn like this. I mow my lawn like this. And then when I'm walking around the neighborhood, the neighbors say, hey, why don't you mow your lawn? I said, that's because I'm managing the rhizosphere. They look at me, no, you're lying. Crazy. I said, get over, I'm putting sheep and goats in the front yard, and I'm zoned agriculture, so leave it alone. But here, folks, here's what I'm getting at. You see these ecosystem processes, the nutrient carbon cycle, the soil food web cycle, the biocommunity cycle, this is where we're at, all living creatures. And the water cycle. These processes are going like this, and they're intertwined, they're connected. But guess what happens? When you took too much crap, when you didn't understand what you were doing with your tools, now you created your own drought. Now you've got weeds popping out. You woke up scabs. And then he says, oh my goodness, the pasture's so horrible, I went through a drought. Now I'm going to have to go buy fertilizer. And I had a grazier in South Carolina spend $100,000 on chemical fertilizer. You should never have to fertilize pastures. That's what cows are for. They're walking fertilizer bags. They have 4 legs, they have legs. So, let's jump gun here. How much? I got 3 minutes, right? 4 minutes? Mark? Sure. That's sure.
3.
You got 3. Okay. Oh, I cheated myself again. I had this bad habit. I've got too many slides. And I should have started with your dessert. I should have worked right during dinner. And I'm going to confess to you folks, I hate being a speaker during the meal. Because really, eating is a very social thing. You don't want to listen to a speaker. You know, they eat and visit the neighbor, right? Okay, here's your first homework assignment. I go hang around this website. They have the most brilliant scientists come up there, and they have the most awesome talks. One of them was Janine Banias on the word biomimicry. She says we should farm in nature's image. Nature has 3.8 billion years of research and development and has 10 to 30 million species well adapted. I said, whoa, this is so cool. In fact, the Wright brothers learned how to fly through biomimicry. They mimicked the birds. They didn't get the idea by smoking cover crops. I've been accused of that. 20% engineers are using biomimicry technology. They're making cars shaped like fish, reduce the fuel consumption. Very cool. Biomimicry. There's a whole website called Biomimicries. Scientists are using the skins of these two arthropods that never drink water. Their exoskeletons have the ability to draw the water in, and they can process the water. So these engineers are saying, look, why don't we make our building skins with that same kind of design, so that we can suck the humidity out, we don't have to pump it, and we can pipe it right into the building. Biomimicry. Biomimicry's been around for a long time. It's been in the scriptures. But ask the beast and they will teach you. The birds of heaven, they will tell you. The template's been there all the time, ladies and gentlemen. She says, why don't we farm like a prairie in the forest? What do you mean, farm like a prairie in the forest? What can we do in our agricultural ecosystem to mimic that? The prairie is covered 24/7. It's diverse. It has animals. It's closed cycles. Isn't it beautiful? All of it connected. You know what our systems are? No diversity, monoculture. They're leaky. We export the nutrients, and we took the animals away from the farm. And they are not resilient. So I'm going to wrap it up this last couple of slides because I can see Mark going, please, you know. Sorry. You asked me to come. I did. So you have to be tortured. I'm going to show these couple of slides here. Now, this gives me goosebumps, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to see this because I tell you, I really get excited about this. You see, I make the music special for you. Get emotional. That is a special camera at night taken in Canada at a no-till field, and look at my bioengineers. If you have a residue problem, you have a biology problem. Look at that. I never thought earthworms are that strong. Look at this. That's amazing, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, that's why Ray Stiers, 85 years old, does not walk out his fields at night. He might disappear. He's afraid. He won't go out there. He's afraid to understand. And obviously you're here going, and there's that poor dog going there, going crazy. One more slide, and we'll call it quits. By the way, this afternoon, I will, what time do it's going to be here?
We're going to move it here.
Yeah,
We're going to keep right on rolling.
We're going to keep you right in this room.
Oh, bless you, Roger, because I have so much to share. And my computer's going, oh my goodness. Oh, by the way, my PowerPoints are like 780 megs. And my Mac's going, police. Folks, let me wrap this up. Ladies and gentlemen, I was asked by my peers about 4 years ago, what is your vision for soil health? What is your vision for soil health? And I told them, here I'm sitting with my peers, we're in a round table, and says, where are we going to go in soil health? I said, you know what I want to see soil health go to in this country? I want to see soil health elevated to this level. I want to see soil health that I would eliminate all car commercials and Viagra commercials on TV. And I want to see farmers. I want to see Tom Hanks holding an earthworm and talking about the salt habitat. And my coworkers laugh the same way. Ray, you're insane. And I said to them, why? Because are we satiated and satisfied with breadcrumbs? Is that where we're at? Begging for money, we're always happy with breadcrumbs. Ladies and gentlemen, this movement, you would ask me 8 years ago, who would have thought I would be speaking among you? That's our problem. We don't have vision. Because we got to take it because every person in this country needs to know about our soils. We need to connect everybody. The chief asked me one time when we were out there, it was first starting, he says, Ray, he asked the whole group. I was in headquarters after we did the demos. Who do we train? Chief said, White said, oh, we'll do the agronomist first. Nobody said anything. Me, I'm just jumping enough to say something on the group. I said, no, Chief, everybody or nobody. Because if we don't treat, if the state cons aren't training soil health, it will not happen in the state. They are the leaders. Chief White said, boy, Ray, you need some volume. You need some pacifier. But it's true. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know who's going to bring our resources back to healing? It's when we get the regular people excited about soils and connect them and plug them back in, and we eliminate the ignorance that's happening in our country. Not only until then are we going to be healing on the land. It's already moving that direction. People want healthy food. They want clean water. And they should be entitled to that, every one of us. And we can do it. But we can have our cake and ice cream too, if we follow the template. Next week, I am getting to go to the Noble Foundation. They have asked me to go and unite together with Farm Foundation and Noble Foundation. And they've selected 18 people from all over the country. Organic, no-till, conventional. And we're going to come together, some research all together, on how to promote soil health. Do you know how encouraging that is? John's working on that. All of us, every one of us, every day that we stand up for the resource. And yesterday, I'll land up with this last sentence. They asked me yesterday when we were training a bunch of NRCS employees. And they asked me, Bray, if you were to tell our employees one thing how to start soil health, what would you tell them? I said, you have to care. You have to put enough care and skin in the game that you're going to get engaged with your landowners and you're going to go out there and learn with them. You got to care. Like one technician said, it's simple to be conservation. You just got to love the land and love the people. That you're willing to push the envelope and get people agitated, not enough so they won't get you back on the farm, but to make them think, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we need to do. We got to push the envelope, every one of us, and change our resource. We don't have to accept a degraded resource. That's why Colorado's glowing, ladies and gentlemen. That's the way I grew up, accepting a degraded resource. We no longer have to do that. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, very much for allowing me to come.
All right, people, we're late. Get out of here and go to your sessions. If you want to see more race, stay here.